Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Nick here with Parks Car Care, and today I'm going to be going over a maintenance wash on my F80. Also going to talk a little bit about why I sold the Model 3 Performance and ultimately got into this particular F80. Also going to be going over the Koch Chemie lineup, some of the more basic products I mentioned in part 3 of the 4GT series that we're going to be carrying these now. Really excited about it. For the last year, I've really been searching for a bigger brand to bring to Parks Car Care. We're fortunate to be able to work with a lot of smaller brands, which has a ton of benefits. You know, namely getting to work directly with the owners on like a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. But I did feel like our store had sort of a gap, like it was missing a little bit in terms of having like the one brand that makes everything. So if you wanted to visit our store and pick one lineup that you could, you know, prep, correct, polish, coat, protect, interior, exterior, engine bay, everything, one brand that could do it all. So I've been searching, you know, for the last like year, brands that I'd used in the past, ones that I'd never used, trying some of those out, and Koch was by far the best fit for that in our store. So they make a ton of different products. Today I'm going to be just using some of the basic stuff. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on my car today. Just I've gotten some feedback. People want to hear a little bit about the F80, and also wanted to use this as an opportunity to kind of soft launch this product line for Parks Car Care. So Brad Swims, who's our regional rep for Koch Chemie, he's going to be visiting here first week of December. Going to be having a lot of the NV Pro guys out here, and we're actually going to be working on this particular car. So during that time, I'm sure it'll end up being like a 2 or 3 part video series. We're going to prep, correct, polish, go through the interior on this car, engine bay, everything, wheels off, using nothing but Koch Chemie. The only exception is we are going to be putting NV Nova Pro on the car, obviously, and S-Tech Dyno Shield on the front end, the roof, mirrors, and possibly some other areas of the car. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick kind of what I'm gonna be using today, and then I'll move this out of the way so I can work around the car. Magic Wheel Cleaner, it's the reactive wheel cleaner from Koch. It's very strong. I would put it up there with Purge or S-Tech Wheel. It's a very powerful cleaner. Green Star is one of their APCs. They actually make, one thing that's really cool about Koch that I like is they make multiple of like certain products. Like they have multiple APCs, they have multiple snow foams, and typically I'm not someone who likes a lot of overlap. But for me, it's when that overlap is kind of like blurring the line, so to speak, where it's like, well, what's really the, you know, objective benefit to this one versus that one? Is it just because they smell different? Is it just like different marketing? But theirs all have very functional differences. So Green Star is kind of like, I would say, is their go-to APC. It's not the strongest one they have, but it's very versatile. Also not the weakest one they have. But be using this today in a Marolex at 5:1 for my tires, and also to pre-treat like the rockers. The car is filthy. It has no protection on it right now, so like everything sticks to it like crazy. It's a little bit harder to clean. So probably gonna be using some Green Star to help shift some of those areas that are a little bit more harder to clean. So next is Plast. This is their engine bay sealant. So for like the plastics and rubbers in the engine bay. I'm not gonna be using this today because I actually used it last week, and I brought it out originally. So like last week I prepped my engine bay using Green Star and then protected it with Plast, and I experienced a little bit of streaking on the Plast, so I was gonna redo the whole process today for the video, and just because I wanted to get rid of the streaking. But funny enough, like over the weekend, I've driven the car pretty decent amount this weekend, and a lot of that streaking is gone. So like the engine bay is very, very clean from detailing it last week. And the little bit of like splotchiness I have, I'll be able to just level it off today using a little bit more Plast directly into a towel and kind of like even it out or level it off, so to speak. But I did learn a good bit about like how not to use Plast last week. So Brad gave me some awesome pointers, and next month when we do our video, I'm sure the engine will be dirty by then. So I'll go over those kind of like tips that he passed on to me with you guys. Gentle Snow Foam, this is their pH neutral shampoo. obviously going to be washing the car with this. It's what's in my wash bucket over there. I'm using Super Foam, which is actually their strongest foam on the car. I have this little sample bottle here. We carry the larger sizes as well, but it's a pH level 12 product, so it's up there. Let me make sure I got that right. Yes, pH of 12, so it is strong, but that's what I want for my car. It has no PPF, no coatings on it, so it is like a dirt magnet. Everything sticks to it. It's hard to get it off the paint. Since I bought this car, I've actually just done like QD wipe downs because I knew that this event was going to be coming up, and there was really no point in trying anything more long-term on the car, knowing that we were just going to strip it off. So last thing I'll be using is Finish Spray Exterior. This is a really intriguing product to me. I've been running it for a little while and kind of dialing in how I like to use it the best, but it's actually a quick detailer that has the ability to remove light water spotting. So water spots, if you're a professional detailer or a hardcore enthusiast, they are the bane of our existence. Like, I don't care if you do PPF, ceramic coating, wax, sealant, whatever. There's a lot of debate as to like which ones do better and or worse in that department of water spots, but at least in my experience, that is like the one thing that is very hard to avoid. So having a product that every wash or every other wash you can wipe off the car with and kind of lightly take down some of those water spots is very appealing to me. So I've got a lot of hope for this product, but ultimately we'll see over the next like year. I'll plan to most likely maintain the F80 once it's coated. With this, it is a daily, so it's going to be seeing all the elements year round. It's going to be getting driven a lot. I hope to wash it as much as I need to, but I'm sure with life and business and stuff getting in the way, there will be times where it doesn't necessarily get the attention it deserves. So we will see long term how FSC does. I will say from my testing so far, it does remove like light water spotting. Obviously, if something is etched, you know, you're going to want to use like an acidic water spot remover, Gyeon water spot, NV Shift, something like that, or you're going to have to polish. So, but if it can help even reduce the percentage of water spotting, you know, between doing like big details like compounding, polishing, recoating, stuff like that, then to me it's a huge win. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start with Magic Wheel Cleaner, Green Star on the wheels. What I'm actually gonna do today, just for testing purposes, is I'm gonna do Magic Wheel Cleaner and Green Star on the front two wheels. They're obviously the dirtiest. And then when it comes time to Super Foam, I wanna try to keep the video like a little bit concise today. I'm gonna clean the rear wheels with the foam that's produced from Super Foam and just kind of test and see how it holds up. So I get this thing out of the way because it's definitely gonna be in the way of the video here, and get started. Don't need these. That was Tyler. That's the guy who packs all y'all's orders. So get a lot of great compliments and good feedback on how stuff is packed. That is the man right there who's avoiding the camera. He is the one that packs all your orders, so he's the one that deserves all the credit. All right, so Green Star 5-to-1, foams up really well. So if you've watched any of our videos, or if you're watching this one, you can see that obviously we do not have the luxury of washing inside here at Parks Detailing. Obviously, I hope in a future video, in a future shop, that I will have the ability to have indoor washing. I realize that is ideal, but you know, trying to look at the positives of things, it does provide, I think, the viewers of this content for car care, you know, a little bit of value in the sense that I would say 90+% of the population is not washing inside. So it's not ideal, but hopefully that I'll pass along some like tips and advice that I've learned over the years by having to wash outside onto you guys, and hopefully that can help with your, you know, at home setups. So I've got the trailer here behind me. I don't think you can see it in the camera, but it does cast a little bit of a shadow. So my hose is long enough, I can run it out here from the pressure washer and sometimes catch a little bit of shade, but it's never 100% ideal when you're outside. Today, for example, I've got leaves falling on me, so, but it's just part of it, and you learn to work with it, work around it. So loving these Carscope brushes, the soft touch, they're really nice. You know, I don't think it's any secret that the bristles of a lot of these brands are probably coming from the same place. They look identical, they kind of feel the same. But I will say, like, the handles that Henry has chosen for these are awesome, like super durable. I've not had any cracking here on the plastic at the end. Like, it's very, very tough plastic. It's not like that rubber around the edge that kind of can crack over time. So really liking those. Come as a 2-pack, a long one and a short one. So I like to use the longer one for my wheels and the shorter one for the paint on the car for when I foam. Also, I've said this in other videos, really excited to get the Carscope brushes. I've used these Gyeon ones for years, and while it's a great tool, it does have some like minor drawbacks. Like, I don't like the thickness of it. You can hear probably on the microphone, it might be picking it up, but it's hitting the dust shield, which drives me crazy. You know, especially on like customers' cars. I worry about possibly damaging it or bending it. It's also a little bit short, so like on really big wheels like truck wheels, or super wide like Turbo S Porsche rear wheels, I'm having trouble hitting the back of the barrel for 2 reasons. One, because of the length of it, and also how thick it is. I don't want to like forcibly jam it back there and possibly damage the rotor or the shield. So KLIN Korea Green Monster, this one's yellow, it was a limited run. I kind of like to put those behind the spokes, as you saw, and kind of like shimmy it back and forth. I've used like Daytona brushes and stuff in the past, or I think they're speed brushes. Not a huge fan of those for a couple of reasons. One, I find that when I pull the brush out, I get sprayed with brake dust, which is kind of just more of an annoyance than anything else. But the biggest gripe I have with it is the scratching. So the Green Monster is like a really interesting material. It's like a rubbery towel, but it's totally safe on jet black. They're super durable, they last forever. And I find that no matter how many different brushes I've used, like little accessories you get in places, sometimes the best thing to do is take a towel and just scrub it. So rather than like a normal microfiber cloth that would get destroyed by doing something like this after one wash pretty much, that I can just take it, pressure wash it out, and keep running with it. So. So go to the other side, do the same thing. If you see me picking up my dolly, it's because these little casters, which I need, the larger casters have been on back order forever. Might need to find a different source for those, but out here the asphalt's not totally smooth, so when I roll it, it's really, really loud and you can hear it on the mic, so figured I'd pick it up to save you guys the angst of that. It's also annoying to me as well. So yeah, as far as selling the Tesla, I actually had two Model 3s. I had a standard range plus. That was kind of like me dipping my toes into the whole electric vehicle thing. Seeing if I really wanted to do it. And, you know, I liked it. Like, at the time I owned it, my service business was a little bit bigger in scope. Like, we did more cars, I had more employees. So at a time period of my life, we also had my daughter was born, so first kid my wife and I had. So just a really like crazy hectic time in my life. I did appreciate the fact that the Tesla was like very, you know, virtually no maintenance at all. So don't even have to go to the gas station, right? You know, no oil changes, all that. So that was kind of cool. I liked it enough that I was able to sell it for a profit because of all the crazy COVID stuff going on and supply chain, yada yada. So sold that and upgraded to a Model 3 Performance. So I felt like with the standard range, I was like, you know, the only thing this car is really missing is like more pickup and like better handling and braking and all that. So I thought that, you know, the performance model would be like ultimate daily, and it was actually really cool. You know, it was a fun car, super fast, very capable in the mountains. Like I would honestly put the handling like on par with this car. Probably the best thing about owning that car for me was not really related to it being a Tesla, but I got to bring it to SEMA. S-Tech released their Dyno Shift Green paint protection film and wrapped the whole car in that, sent it off to SEMA, and it was at the S-Tech booth last year for 2021, which was just an incredible experience. Getting to say I had like my own personal car at SEMA on display. Super cool experience. So eventually, you know, I got a little bit tired with the Tesla. I've scaled my service business back since then. So part of the move that I didn't mention with the Tesla is at the time, you know, I use it as a sales tool because a lot of Tesla people do PPF. So I learned over the years owning BMWs how much value that brought to me in terms of being able to connect with the local community. You're a fellow owner, so you know you can relate to them. And I wanted to do the same thing with Tesla. So it did give me that. Like I got that part out of it that I wanted. Went to some meets, and you know, when an owner comes by and you've got the car sitting right there and the work is on it, what better tool to have? So it was great in that sense. But since I have scaled service back, I've talked about this in one other video. I think it's part 1 of the Ford GT. And also this weekend I went on the Detail Solutions podcast and talked a little bit more about why I've scaled service back. But I brought that side of the business down a little bit, focusing more on the product sales now, trying to do more content like this. And the Tesla was just not fulfilling what I wanted it to do as a daily, you know? I mean, it was practical in every sense of the word, but it just didn't have that visceral feeling, you know? Obviously it's an electric car. It was just kind of the whole 0 to 60 thing. Like it's so repeatable in like a good way, you know, from a performance aspect, but it's just like the same thing over and over again. And obviously just not as engaging to drive. There's no noise. There's not that visceral, you know, the back end sliding out. And that's definitely what this provides for me. So. worked on more, so going way back with my business before I hired anybody in service, I've worked on more F80, F82, F87, like M3, M4, M2 than any other car, I would say. When these came out, I was just slammed with them. I had an E60 at the time. I've always had my E30, so the BMW community, I've always been, you know, big on that locally. Super foam is awesome, smells great. So having worked on dozens of these things, and I remember when they came out, it wasn't as controversial as the G80 has been, but there was a lot of like polarizing, you know, opinions on the car, and you know, some people hated it. You know, first force induction M3, and the M3 was a sedan, didn't come as a coupe, which obviously the M4 does, but it was just, there was a lot of waffling back and forth from people. I'm like, oh, I love it, I hate it. But I just remember I immediately loved it. I was like, this thing is so sick. So I've always wanted one. And I had the Model 3 Performance, and it had gone up in value since I had owned it for a year. The wrap, you know, I was able to demand a little bit higher of a premium with the PPF full body on there, and ceramic tint and windshield film and all that. So I started looking online and locally for F80s, and it was so hard to find one that, you know, people buy these and they obviously drive the hell out of them. So front ends were all peppered. Most of them were modified or had been modified and brought back to stock, which made me a little bit nervous. So it was challenging finding one that wasn't like, I guess not abused, but really like used hard. So I was dropping off I think an X5M at one of my customers' dealers, Jeff Tomaszak with Formula One Motorsports or Formula One Imports, and saw this thing sitting outside, and I immediately went inside. I was like, what's the deal on this car, you know? And it was on consignment. It had been there for like a few days. And before I even went inside, I looked it over, and I'm like, man, this thing, you know, front bumper had some chips, which is normal. But it was overall really good. Like the carbon roofs on these are notorious for the clear peeling on them. Like it fails. A lot of them have rock chips along the leading edge of the carbon roof, which that becomes a whole, like, it's a really expensive process to repair that. Yeah, I looked it over and I'm like, damn, this thing is in great shape. I saw that the driver's seat had some scratches on the bottom of it, which for some odd reason on these was like really common in a lot of the ones I saw online. I don't know what, I know the leather in these does not wear very well, like especially the bolsters, but people just have like buttons on their jeans, I guess, but it's totally willing to look past that. Silverstone, hands down my favorite non-individual color. Just love this color. And I remember when they came out, that was like, told myself, you know, if I could buy a brand new one, this is the color I would want. So DCT I did want. My E30 is manual. I do a lot of driving in traffic and whatnot. And honestly, the S55 to me, I'm a purist, like I love manual cars, don't get me wrong, but the DCT and the S55 just go together so well. I've been fortunate enough to drive a lot of my customers, and that's just how I wanted it. I wanted a DCT. Also, my wife does not drive manual, so I want to drive this car a lot, take it on road trips, and being a manual car would kind of, you know, be a hindrance to that, I guess, since we both can't drive it. But yeah, I went inside, I was like, what's the deal? It was priced high, obviously, like everything right now, or things are starting to level out now, of course, 4 months after I bought it. But, you know, I sold the Tesla high, bought the F80 high. I was cool with it. Another big thing, you know, I found some across the country that looked appealing, but I really trust thoroughly a company here, CES Motorsport. John with CES Motorsport in Hendel. That was like a non-negotiable for me. I was not willing to buy one of these cars unless they could look at it first and do the PPI. They deal with tons of performance, maintenance, repairs on these cars. They're so familiar with it, and I trust them. You know, they've worked. They helped me resolve a lot of problems on my E30, my old E60 at the time that was modified to the gills, and I've never had better experience. So I wasn't really willing to just to buy one without them looking at it, because there are signs, even though if a car is stock, if it's been modified, there's signs that it's been modded, and they know what to look for. So pretty quickly jumped on it. Actually bought it and then brought them my Tesla Formula One and said, you know, put it on consignment, sell it for me, I'm busy. And they have such a big network, and you know, it was just easier for me to pay them the commission to sell it. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse it off. The sun is starting to beat down on me, unfortunately, so I'm gonna rinse everything off but the rear wheels. If I need to, I can reconnect the foam cannon and foam these rear wheels down. Again, to scrub them, there's still some soap sitting on them, but I don't want the super foam to like stain the paint or anything like that. What's up? What's up now? Not much. No, my phone's inside. All right, cool. So yeah, long story short, hopped all over it. PPI revealed that the car had no signs of tracking, no signs of previous modifications. The only mods on the car, Dynan X pipe. The guy had a different set of wheels on it that were pretty ugly in my opinion, but to each their own. So had the stock wheels put back on. The brake calipers were painted Silverstone to match the car, which I think is a good touch. And from what I can tell, the paint quality seems to be good on them. We'll see in December when we pop the wheels off. I'll get a closer look. But Dynan X pipe, painted calipers, and the M factory height adjustable suspension. That's why it's sitting where it is now. It also has the M factory carbon uppers on the front bumper, the carbon mirror caps, carbon spoiler, and carbon diffuser. So yeah, I mean, it was the most unmolested stock, not banged up F80 I could find. I was willing to pay a little bit over what, you know, most people on the internet would say it's worth, but that didn't really matter to me. I did 50 or 60 mils in the MTM, and it's strong. Like, a lot of the bugs and dirt are pre-rinsing off just with the super foam. The only exception, I see some road tar, which obviously I'll have to take like Gyeon tar or S-Tech tar to get that off. But super impressed with this. The car is a 2018, so that was another plus for me, LCI model. That was really important. I didn't want to buy a non-LCI. Gonna refoam the rear two wheels before I scrub them. Not the most efficient wash because I'm talking to you guys about the car, so if I weren't, this would go a little more efficiently. Sorry for the break in the video there. We had electrician come by. We're doing some renovations in the service side. New lights, paint, some other stuff. I'll show you guys once it's all done. But so yeah, I was trying to think of where I was. Yeah, car, you know, pretty much stock, best condition I could find. So I went ahead and did it. Got it. Have not regretted it since. It's been like 3 months. Absolutely loving the car. It had 48,000 miles on it when I bought it. Now it's up a little bit over 50. I was able to secure a BMW certified pre-owned warranty for the car. So it's covered now to 100,000 miles, which if it's anything like my old BMWs, like the E60, I put about 50,000 miles on that car, so I'm sure I'll keep it for a long time. It's going to be the daily. It's got 2 car seats in the back for both of our kids, so fully intend on not just keeping it totally perfect, but actually enjoying it to the fullest. It's a little bit of a hack wash because the car has no protection on it. It's got swirls, it's got water spots. It's not perfect, so obviously I want to like mitigate putting in more damage, but it's certainly not. If you've watched like my other videos on how to wash, I'm a little more lax with this thing right now, at least. Once I get it dialed in, I'm not gonna be that same way. But for now, it's kind of whatever. Just keeping it sort of clean. Future mods, Obviously, I have a warranty on the car, so I don't want to sacrifice that. That was definitely like a contingency for me. Even though I bought the car before I had the warranty, like before I knew I could afford the warranty on it, that was like a pretty big deal, I would say, in terms of like how long I'm going to keep it. So I don't want to like do like extreme mods like I've done in the past with my cars that were not warranted, and then run the risk of needing like a repair done and not being able to do it because of the modifications. So I've been talking with Hendel at CES, trying to kind of nail down a plan for like what I want to do. First thing I'd love to do is some Apex wheels. I forget the exact model, but it's Thick Whips, one of my customers, Jonathan. You guys have probably seen his channel if you've watched any of my videos. He has some on his M4 GTS. I want the exact same ones except in the brushed clear, I think is the finish. I think those would look sick on Silverstone. Truthfully, I don't hate this style of wheel. I had these on my E60, but I can't stand the jet black. They're all swirled, and I know if I polish them and coat them, it's just gonna happen again. So one thought I did have, or one option I weighed, was just powder coating these silver, but then you have the fitment issue where I'd have to run spacers to really get the fitment that I want. And maybe it's just because I'm getting like older. I know younger me would have said to hell with it and just put spacers on it, but I've read mixed things on spacers with these cars. And I think to get the flush fitment, it'd be like a 15 millimeter in the front or something like that. And I just don't want to run the risk of having like unusual brake or tire wear, like wobbles or like any of that crap. It's just the car is so nice as it is that I don't really want to do anything to it that could take away from like the experience of the car, I guess. So either gonna, if I can afford to do Apex, definitely gonna do that. If not, probably just gonna keep them stock. Possibly powder coat them silver, but again, by the time you powder coat them silver, and if you did do spacers, not that I would do it, you know, it's kind of like, why wouldn't you just save up and get some wheels at that point? So. Could definitely see doing a Dynon catback. Talked again to Jonathan Thick Whips, and he tested out a few different exhausts, and that one seems to have like the best balance of sound, and with the valves closed, it's like pretty much stock, but with them open, it's got a nice aggressive tone to it. The MPE and performance exhaust is fully titanium for this car, and I actually didn't know this before talking to Jonathan, because I probably would have leaned towards something like that because it's a full system and because it's BMW part and all that. But one, it's very expensive. And two, really the bigger thing to me, not the cost, is like, I guess the titanium has like a much raspier tone to it. Which these cars already have a kind of unusual sound to them. And if I want to listen to an insane amount of rasp, I've got a S54 with custom exhaust in the E30. So it's all the rasp you need right there. Even though I'll say CES did a great job of, when making that exhaust for the E30, he cut down on like the raspiness of the S54 as much as you possibly can. It sounds really good. But again, it just goes back to it being a daily. I don't want it to be to where it's like not undrivable, but where it's like not enjoyable on road trips and stuff like that. My goal for this car is to like keep it reliable. I've got the warranty, and put as many miles on it as possible. Like, I intend on keeping the car a very long time. The G80 still, like when this one came out, like I mentioned, I was immediately attracted to it. The G80 is taking some time to grow on me. I'll say, like, I've gotten past the kidney grill aspect of it, but I guess I would need to drive one and really like see my impressions of it. As to where this car, I just love it. Like, love the way it drives. It's a proven platform at this point. That does bring me to the next point though, the crank hub fix. That's something like I've been going back and forth on every other week. A lot of my enthusiast buddies are like, why would you do the crank hub fix? You have a warranty, you know, just drive the car, and if the crank hub spins and the engine goes, then use your warranty, get a new motor. But that's just hard for me to like have that mentality owning a car, like knowing that there could be a problem and just saying, well, whatever, you know, if my engine blows up, my engine blows up. That it's certainly bothering me. So I'm leaning towards doing it, even though it's kind of crazy, because really at the end of the day, like, say I did dyno and cat back and just like a basic safe stage 1 tune. Well, with the crank hub fix, you know, the crank hub fix is more than the exhaust in the tune, or if I like added intakes as well, it's kind of nutty. But in a sense, it's like, if you're gonna mod it, even if it's as mild as that, I'm just the conservative type of person. I would want to do the crank hub fix, because I don't want to be kicking myself down the road thinking, why did I mod the car and now the engine's blown up? And my understanding is, for the most part, when you do the crank hub fix on these cars, they're pretty much bulletproofed at that point. So definitely don't plan on doing anything like turbos. I've been there, done that with my E60 N54 car, made like 600 wheel. Really glad I got that experience and I did it, but all I'll say is, like, at least for me, when you get a car with that much power, it starts to just become kind of pointless past a certain point. Like, if you're gonna be reckless and go out and race it on the street and whatever, then, you know, you need to make the power, especially with how fast cars are nowadays. Like, just to compete, you're gonna have to do something like that. But for me, like, I think these make like close to 500 on a 93 octane, just like stage 1 tune, which is just, that's ridiculous in itself to me. You're never gonna need that much power on the street. Even as it is, it blows the tires off, you know, so it's, to me, it's good. I just want to keep it nice and be able to really rack up the miles and enjoy it. So we'll see what I end up doing with it long term. So as far as detailing, let me grab a drying towel so the water doesn't dry up on me. Sorry for the video being a little chopped up today, guys. We're doing some renovations inside, so we've got people coming and going, and I'm having to stop and then keep re-recording. But yeah, as far as the detailing on this car goes, my plan is I'm gonna be, I think I mentioned it earlier, wrapping the full front end. We're obviously gonna correct and polish the whole car. I'm gonna be wrapping the full front end in dyno shield, wrapping the roof in dyno shield, I've already, actually I put a brand new OEM windshield. That was the first thing I did when I bought the car, because the glass was just kind of like pitted really badly, so in the sun it was distracting to drive. And I do sell a good amount of the S-Tech DynoFlex, so it's a film that goes on the outside of the windshield to keep rock chips off. So wanted to get rid of that beat up glass. It also had a couple of like actual, you know, cracks in the glass, but put in an OEM windshield, covered that in flex, so that's already done. But I'm gonna be wrapping the full front end with Dyno Shield, wrapping the full roof, mirror caps. I did wet sand, compound and polish the headlights and put Dyno Shield on those, so those are already done. This will be the first car in 3 cars, so both Model 3s and my E60 were fully wrapped. So it's gonna be the first one that's not fully wrapped. I'm still a little like anxious about that, but I'm doing that for a couple of different reasons. One is the rockers are a little bit rough, like the fronts of them. I would really ideally want to repaint the rockers so the film doesn't lift and stuff over time. The front edge of the rear bumper is the same way. It's a little chewed up from the tires spitting up stuff. The doors are really fine, so I could wrap the doors, but the main reason why I'm not doing it is focusing more now on like the content and the car care channel. I feel like it's going to provide better value to our customers, and especially to the NV Pro guys, being able to have my car set up that way, and really even my service customers, because the most popular package in our service business is what I just described. Either a full front end or like a driver's package, which is full front end plus some other pieces, and then ceramic coating everything else. So having a car fully PPF'd to the majority of population is not very relatable. It's a really nice thing to have. Like, I've loved it, especially my 2-year-old daughter actually likes to wash the car with me now, so gonna have to, you know, supervise a little bit more to make sure she doesn't scratch up the paint on the doors and stuff. But so the full body would be nice in that sense, but yeah, I just think it's going to be a little bit easier. I'll be able to do more product testing, like especially the FSC I was mentioning from Koch. What's up, man? You know, using different like quick detailers, different toppers on the ceramic coating. Also, Sandro Carcraft Auto Detailing. I've been pretty jealous that he's had his car coated in Pro for so long, so he's been able to see really the long-term durability of it, the pros and the cons, and actually able to monitor that. So I want to be able to do that for you guys on this F80, also test out different products. Most people don't have their entire car wrapped in PPF, so it also removes a little bit of, like, at least from the car care aspect and testing new products, it removes a little bit of the excitement. Full body PPF is the most low maintenance option, you know, in terms of like once it's done, you pretty much use Carscope and periodically a couple of different cleaners. But having it set up that way, I think it's going to bring a lot more interesting content to the channel. It's going to help me connect with my service customers better and, you know, add a little bit of variety to it. So look forward to doing that in December. It's going to be an awesome meetup. It'll probably be like a 2 or 3 part video series. Going to have the NV Pro guys out here and Brad with Koch Chemie, as I mentioned earlier. So that's it for today. I'm going to get this thing kind of tidied up, dress the tires, do a quick interior on it. But hope you guys enjoyed watching. Stay tuned for more content on the Koch Chemie lineup. We're going to have a very detailed video series covering how to use pretty much all the products in their range, if not most of them, from a professional viewpoint here in my shop. So make sure to like, subscribe, give us a follow. If there's anything you guys want to see, leave a comment, shoot me a message, and I'd be happy to make a video. Thanks for watching.